Well, hello and welcome to Hammer Environmental. My name is Greg Hammer. I'm going to be talking about prior converted cropland today. This is part three in a series. In the first two parts, we looked at what prior converted cropland is, how is it defined, who makes that decision, how long does that decision last, can that decision be challenged, are there any use and management restrictions or guidance associated with that, and are there any cautions that we need to be aware of? So if those are things that you're interested in, go back and take a look at part one and two. Today, I'm going to be specifically focusing on the subject of what we call a change in use. And so a change in use is anytime the land is leaving agricultural state, no longer able to produce an agricultural commodity and going into a different land use. So for example, it could be a housing development or perhaps a solar issue or something that's happening there. So what happens in those particular situations when there's a change in use? Well, I think there's a lot of confusion around this subject, and I think it's happened because of a specific reason. So, back in July of 2020, there was a memorandum that was issued between EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And in that memorandum, it stated that there was a PC exclusion to the Clean Water Act jurisdiction. So, what that meant basically was that if a person had a prior converted cropland designation by USDA on their property, and when that change in use occurred, the Army Corps of Engineers and EPA must accept that this prior converted cropland is not under the Clean Water Act jurisdiction. Now, that's an oversimplification of a larger, more complicated document, but that's basically what the effect was. And so, what happened in many places in the country, especially where there's a lot of development pressure, there was a big boom in the consulting side. I would say, looking at information and trying to get records from USDA, which that's another process. It's not public information, so there's a way to access that through the USDA participant. But they wanted to know if there was PC designations on certain pieces of property so that they could take that information to the Corps of Engineers when there was this change of use that was occurring. And the Corps basically had to say, yeah, okay, this is exempt from our jurisdiction. Now, then in 12, that would be December of 2022, there was a new memorandum that came out between EPA, Army Corps, and NRCS. And it did away with that exclusion. And basically what it said was whenever there was this change of use, so that means leaving ag, going into some other land use, that PC designation would be looked at by the Army Corps of Engineers, but they would be making their own and new decision and would not have to accept that PC designation from USDA. So why did this happen? Well, here's what I think. So it may sound reasonable and rational to think that prior converted cropland is no longer going to meet the definition of a wetland. And in most cases, that is the way it is. It usually is not a wetland. However, there are exceptions to that. And there are situations when a PC cropland, prior converted, would meet the Clean Water Act definition of a jurisdictional wetland. And so I think what happened is that people begin to realize this. And once they begin to realize this, they came back and they updated the memorandum and the agreement between the agencies. So, what's next? Well, there's a court case that many of you, if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with. It's called Sackett versus EPA. And the Supreme Court has ruled on it, but EPA has yet to issue guidance as of this date. This is August of 23 when this is being recorded. I suspect that once that guidance is issued, a few months down the road, the agencies will probably have a rescission of the current memorandum, and there would be another one that will be issued to provide additional and updated guidance. So, if you have questions about prior converted cropland, or there's something in there that you heard that you've got a comment or just a suggestion, yeah, fire it off. Love to hear from you. And just let us know if there's something that you think that we can do to help you out. All right. Hope you have a great day. Take care.